Hello. For Jesus Spirituality, part of the ministry of Lotus of the Heart, our vision, living in love beyond beliefs. Living in love beyond beliefs. I once heard one of my teachers say, and I mentioned this before, the Lotus of the Heart side, do not try to love everyone. And one thing he said, if you try to love everyone, you will exclude someone. I want to elaborate on this a little bit today. Bring together two traditions: the gospel of Jesus, the Sermon on the Mount, a scripture there, and a Zen Buddhist, a Buddhist story, Zen Buddhist story. So what I will do first is I will read a scripture, and then I'll tell the story about a Zen story about the recitation of the sutras or scriptures. So I have to go now to another page and read off a scripture from the Gospel of Luke. And it is in Matthew. The Gospel actually is the Gospel of Matthew. I was saying Luke, but it's the Gospel of Matthew. A part of the Sermon on the Mount. A version of that is in Luke also, but I'm reading the Matthew version. Jesus says, "But I say, love your enemies." That is not a noun. Have love for, but love, action. But I say, love your enemies. Some manuscripts read then, bless those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you. Some manuscripts do not have that. Pray for those who mistreat you. Could be translated, persecute you. Pray for those who mistreat you. In that way, you will be behaving as true children of your Abba, your father, your Amma, your mother in the heavens. For the Abba or Amma gives sunlight to both the evil and the good, and sends rain on the just and the unjust the same. If you love only those who love you, what blessing is there for that? Or what blessing will you receive for that? Even corrupt tax collectors do that much. Now coming back to this screen and talking about the Zen story, and I'll bring these two together. An old Zen story tells about a priest. A man requested that he recite sutras for his wife who had died. The sutras are scriptures, somewhat equivalent to scriptures or scriptures. So he began to recite. He did this recitation, and the husband talked about would that provide his wife merit. And the priest said yes. In fact, he said all sentient beings would receive merit from the recitation of the sutras. The man said, well, my wife, possibly she's weak and others would get her merit. Could you do it just for her? And the priest could not do that. Said a Buddha gives merit to everyone. And the man finally concluded and said, well, Okay, I accept that, but please make one exception. I have a neighbor, he is rough and he's been mean to me, and would you please just exclude him? So we're thinking about the scripture from Matthew and then the story about the recitation of the sutras or scriptures. The impartiality of nature is what we see there in the Matthew Gospel. I'm sitting out on a sunny day, the sunshine spreads its light, it's warm everywhere, and anyone can receive it. So that's a natural graciousness. It is natural for the sun to do that, and that's what Jesus is saying. There's a natural way, like the priest, the Zen priest. The natural way is to give merit to everyone. So the rain falls on the just and unjust, Jesus says. The rain doesn't fall on the crops of those I would call friend and not on those I would call enemy. So this is the divine graciousness, the impartiality. And I'm linking that with what I said in the beginning. Don't try to love everyone. If we're natural, we can be honest about whom we're not loving, whom we are struggling to love, or we're refusing to love, don't want to love. That in our meditation and life will come up, and we can non-judgmentally accept that. But the naked intent of our will to love everyone is part of the transformation, the opening to do that. That doesn't mean I'm going to feel loving toward everyone. It doesn't mean that I need to allow myself to be abused by someone because I think somehow that is being loving. So there is simply this sense of this detached love before the feelings of love. That your heart is simply open. Now, if your heart is open, then it is open to everyone. And if your heart closes to anyone, you will know that. You will feel that. If you live with an open heart, you will feel that. Non-judgmentally, relax into that. Acknowledge it and let your heart naturally open again, even toward someone who's maybe hurt you deeply. That's part of our life here in duality, and we are at times hurt. So this is our encouragement for today. Simply keep the heart open. Be willing to be gracious to everyone. Don't try to be a great lover. Don't even try to be a lover. Simply be. And if you come back to your heart, the open heart, and love itself is impartial. So trust that. Don't trust your personality. Don't trust your past, because if we rely on our past, we will not be able to do this, most of us, because we've been hurt. It's okay to acknowledge that. It's okay to acknowledge that I'm not even loving everyone, but I'm learning or I'm growing in that openness. That's okay. Thank you.